When you're open to receiving the input of others who might not be in your regular everyday life, but they have something to contribute, you have something to contribute, and everyone works together to achieve a common goal, then you've achieved a mastermind.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Startups and Stilettos. I'm Jessica Abo here with Carlin Bushman, and we are so excited to be back together again. Carlin, what's been going on by you?
Oh, Jessica, it's so great to be back. I had the best weekend. This is going to sound a little nerdy. I'm going to geek out on this for a minute, but I have to share with you. I finally decided to commit some time to coordinating my schedule just a little bit better. In other words, I linked my Airtable follow-up schedule and my ClickUp follow-up schedule to my main calendar. So now it's all in one place and it syncs every day. And I know that sounds crazy, but for those of you who know me, you know I like a good organized calendar, and I took it to the next level over the weekend and I felt great starting this week. So thank you for asking. I had to share that.
I think everyone who is listening to you is smiling either because they can totally relate to how good it can feel when your technology talks to each other, or because everyone has like their own thing in life that just is the thing that makes them feel so good, even if it, isn't what everybody else around them gets excited about. And I feel like our guest is probably someone who is beaming and smiling and knows this feeling all too well, because being organized is a big part of her job too. We have Chrissanne Long here with us today, and she is the CEO and co-owner of Maximize Digital Media, a full-service digital marketing agency specializing in website design, social media, and digital advertising for various business industries and sizes. And in addition to her digital marketing agency, Chrissanne is a business coach and mastermind facilitator. So she brings a winning combination of knowledge, experience, and passion to help her clients achieve their goals by guiding them through the fundamentals of business, building out digital marketing systems, and conquering the common mindset barriers to success. So, Chrissanne, we are really excited to hear from you today. And I just want to jump right in. Can you tell us a little bit more about your business from your perspective? And can you give us insight into what does working with you look like?
Well, first of all, I wanted to ooh and ah when Carlin was explaining the connections of the calendars, because I think that's extremely awesome to have. Working with me is really seriously bringing yourself at your level, where you are, how you are, and then helping us achieve your goals. And so really the biggest part of working at for our clients at Maximize, but also with coaching and anything in general, is identifying what your personal or professional goals are. And sometimes that's really hard. Sometimes people can't articulate the goals that they have, their personal, desires in words that make sense for them to be able to figure out what actions are we going to take to get us to success. So defining success, setting the goals, and then executing a plan around whatever it is that we're trying to achieve is the beginning of working with us. And then it just continues to grow as our relationship and our metrics and the information that we gather through our processes starts to unfold. And then we can decide on the path from there.
That's wonderful, Chrissanne. And knowing some history with you and how we met and on part of this journey with you, as you have actually helped me step in personally and designed my website. So thank you. I know exactly what that's like to work with you and the information that you can pull out of your clients in order to really communicate that to a beautifully designed website or whatever form that you use to work with a client is wonderful. It really does set you apart in my eyes in that space. How did you decide to come up with this idea? In other words, take yourself and your company to a different level by integrating those things you just discussed when you work with certain clients. How did you come to where you are today in that space?
It started with really understanding that everybody thinks that they know what they want, but they need someone who has a little bit more experience with them to help them get to the actual way that they're going to get there. For you, Carlin, I think it was several conversations over a period of time. And so I think for me, how we got here is I'm invested in relationships. I'm invested in the long term. I'm really not a person who's going to pitch or sell or try and really get in the front of your face and say, hey, buy a website from me. If you're happy with where you are and the things that you're doing are working, I just want to get to know you and figure out, who you are as a human being. And then at some point in time, in the long term, in the flow of our relationship, if it comes to, hey, I'm really struggling with this thing, which I think is exactly kind of how it happened with you. Then it's like, oh, well, maybe we have a solution. Let's see if we can work together to find a way to solve that problem for you.
That's really interesting, Chrissanne, because I have been working with different coaches for my own business this year, and they all have different selling strategies. So I have worked with one person who has, I would say, a more aggressive approach, even though I would still put it under a kind approach. It definitely is more, okay, so let's leave this call with you taking out your credit card and putting down a deposit today, which is like really bold for someone like me who probably tends to go more like you, which is being in it for the long-term relationship. But at the same time, I think that there's probably somewhere in the middle where a lot of people land, which is if your call to action after you give a talk or you present someplace is for people to have a call with you, you do want to let them know that you do have services. So how do you not miss the opportunity to be selling, but also be investing in relationships with people so that when they are looking to buy, they think of you and come back to you?
For me, it's a conversation that continues to be open to identifying where the opportunities are. There's an appropriate time to put in hey, there's a call to action. Let me invite you to my website, or let's set up a conversation about a sales discussion as opposed to a relationship discussion. I feel like there's two hats that you have to put on. You have to put the relationship hat on, and then you have to put I'm a salesperson, I'm an entrepreneur, I've got to close the sale on as well. And when you were saying that about the credit card, it was interesting to me because I felt like there's that time after the discovery call is when the call to action for the credit card comes out. It would really be awkward for me to have had in many of the conversations that I've had with Carlin over the year and a half or so that we've known each other, for me to just go, you know what, Carlin, I've had enough. Unless you're ready to work with me, get your credit card out or we're not going to continue, right? Because it just didn't naturally happen. So at some point in time, you just have to understand this. Am I in this relationship because this relationship is valuable to me? Or am I in this relationship because eventually I want to sell something to this person? And those are two different reasons to be in a relationship, no matter who you are.
Yeah, that would have been really awkward, right?
Yeah.
I love that. And maybe that's the approach. Like, when you have a call with someone and then they're laying out every single problem that they have and you're like, wait, but my business actually solves these problems. Maybe you actually say, listen, I have loved learning to know more about you and your business. I'm going to put on my entrepreneur hat for a second and actually walk you through how my business supports people like you. So when you're ready, these services are available. Because Carlin, I don't know if you found this about you and your business, and Chrissanne, I'd love your intake, your input on this one too, and your take on this. You can't be good at all of the things. So I love doing what I do, but I don't love selling what I do. So it's been really interesting to hear your relationship building approach, because I think that's how I go about my business too. But Carlin, what about you? Where do you fall in this conversation?
I love the relationship. I think the relationship selling for me, that's exactly where I want to be. It feels good to me. I think there's finding comfort in the discomfort is in certain areas. I don't think it has to be a one size fits all rule for everybody. You have to be transparent. And I think what you both just discussed, which is really, really relevant, is be you. They're going to work with you. Be transparent. If you say, and I love the way you phrased it, Jess, if you say, okay, I'm going to put on my entrepreneur hat here for just a second, and I'm going to share with you how we can get past these obstacles that you currently have in your business. It doesn't mean that it's going to change my relationship with you. I'm always here. I'm always going to be here. But I can really help you if you want it. I'm not going to force your arm in it. So I think there's a lot to be said for that.
It also has to come back to the product that you're selling. I think coaching is a specialized offer versus a product. Like if you have a box that you're saying, oh, look, I can sell you this thing and you need this thing, so buy this thing. It's one thing, but the coaching process is a completely different, product. So if you've got something that you've productized, like a course or a training or something that's a beginning, middle, and end, it's different than if it's just this relationship that we have to work towards to get, is it a good fit? Is this really going to work for both of us? Because it has to be a partnership in those kinds of environments.
And I'd love to hear a little bit more about the mastermind work that you do and how that comes into the fold of your business overall.
I would say the way that I would describe myself as a relationship person is that the win-win is in everything. I don't want to get into a relationship if there's not a win for both parties. And I think that's exactly what a mastermind is when there's people who are working together for a common cause, then they can help each other. And so when you walk into a mastermind, even if you are a coach or someone in an environment that maybe has an elevated level of experience in an area, you still are someone who can grow and still are someone who can learn from other people. And so you're not selling yourself as this person who can answer all of the questions and solve all of the problems. You're there to facilitate conversations, to allow the dialogue to be safe and transparent and an open, hey, I feel comfortable in this space. So you have to be able to make people feel comfortable in order to have them walk into a mastermind and get value out of it. And then once people start to share, then the value just becomes itself. That's what the Mastermind Alliance is. That's where Napoleon Hill started to explain about it. And I think that's what we're all trying to achieve. This is a mastermind, right? We're all just having a conversation. But I think sometimes there are those of us who are gifted in bringing people together and allowing people to feel that comfortableness. And you guys are creating that space for me. And so it's just taking that one step further and doing that for others as well.
Well, and I think you touched on so many aspects there about the win-win in that and the natural transition that you're seeing within your business to start to build and to continue to build these masterminds that you're talking about. There's rarely a day, I can't even think of one right now in the immediate, where I don't listen to a podcast. I don't participate in a mastermind. I don't, read some really interesting information in various books, even like Napoleon Hill, like you just, recommended or discussed, where you don't walk away with something. Even if I've heard it 2, 3, 7, 12, 15 times over, I always walk away with something, another nugget, or I must have missed that last time I read that book. And it's all relevant to the timing in which you hear it. So talking through some of those things, I think you can never discredit the fact that we always learn from each other that way. And when you're talking about win-win, I think it's a great segue into what is the biggest win that you have in your business so far? What would you celebrate today with us?
Wow. So it's really exciting that that's the question that you just asked, because I'm thinking I really want to share this story that is actually a mastermind that just naturally happened. So I'm coming off of a really exciting week in Lakeland, Florida. All communities are special and unique and wonderful. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. I created a network of local people about 11 or 12 years ago now, called Bridge Local. And so we're just plowing along, doing our thing. We live in our space. The Chamber of Commerce lives in their space. All of the other organizations in the community live in their space. But one person reached out from the chamber and said, hey, what would you think of a collaborative event? And a mastermind was created out of that one conversation. So she said, what do you think? And I said, well, actually, here are several other people that I think we should connect to this conversation. Let's create an event together and let's really make it amazing. Let's make it a win-win and then, quadruple the wins all the way around. And so we had 300 people attending the event. We had 22 people who are participating in the event as vendors or as resource partners for entrepreneurs. And then out of that, the mayor was there, a commissioner was there, and the mayor said, let's do it again in September. And I laughed, ha, ha, ha. And then I had a meeting today where it's just actually going to happen, that there's going to be another one in September. And I think that's the power of a mastermind, right? I think that's what happens when you're open to receiving the input of others who might not be in your regular everyday life, but they have something to contribute. You have something to contribute, and everyone works together to achieve a common goal. Then you've achieved a mastermind. And so that's my win right now, is just being able to have an illustration of what masterminding can do and what collaboration can create for yourself and your business, your personal life, or beyond.
Oh, that was just so good. That was just so powerful. And I want to bring it back to what people can be sharing with the outside world when someone who they meet at a mastermind goes to their website. So I'm surprised that in 2023, so many people don't have websites up and running yet. And I don't mean that for the people who've been working at a corporate job for a really long time and now they're pivoting. I'm talking about people who've been in business for at least a year. but they just have never had the opportunity, maybe the time, resources, what have you, to at least put up a landing page. So for someone who is just starting out, what do you think are the things that they should be thinking about or considering as they are putting something together for the outside world to see?
Man, this is perfect. You're asking all of the best questions. Oh, so the biggest thing for me is owning everything. The number one reason people don't have websites is they like, oh, I have a Facebook page. Oh, I have an Instagram. I'm there. That's how I'm selling. That's how I'm building my brand. And I always ask them, do you own that? What happens if the algorithm changes? What happens if someone, I don't know, takes over your page and does something horrible? There's no control of something that you don't own. And I always say, don't build your business on someone else's property, right? So what I always encourage people to do is at least buy a domain, own your domain, and then put something on there, whether it's just like you said, a landing page, Jess, or, something that just does a really good job of explaining how to find you. A lot of times it can just be those jump sites, the link in bio type of setup where that's all you need to have is, hey, find me on Instagram. That's where I'm spending all of my time. But at least you have something that you can control and update when you're ready to go to the next level with your website.
Yeah. And also that helps people build their list over time. And for people who are hoping to get media opportunities, producers and bookers will go to your Instagram or LinkedIn just to see what you and your business are all about. But they are also going to see if you have a website that explains what you do in more detail and just elevates the whole brand to actually show that you are this up and running person. So really, really good things to be thinking about.
And one thing I want to add to that, because of Carlin's website, when we were building that website for you, there was a vision you had. And I think from your skill set and the side that what you shared with me is like, yeah, I could do it, but it's going to take me a really, really long time to do it. And I don't have time to invest in all of the things. And so we turned something around pretty quickly because you had a deadline for us. And I was like, ooh, that's tight. But it was something we were able to do because, you were able to delegate that and say, hey, this is something I'm not going to spend my time doing. It's worth it to me to hire somebody to do it and get it done right and quickly and meet that deadline.
Thank you for sharing all of that. And you're right. I did put some pretty hard, fast deadlines on that. But I think to what you're saying, and Chrissanne, what you're also stating, it doesn't have to be perfect. What I set up for the deadlines on my website, it did not have to be perfect. I needed to shift it over to the new website. Here were the dates. I knew full well there were going to be different things that I'd change down the road. Who cares? Who cares? Just start, right? Just get it started. And having said that, I think it's a great way for us to talk through, if you don't know where to start with a website, if you are going to try to DIY just to get started, to have that landing page, as you said, link in bio, right? Go to maybe find me on Instagram, just say that on a website, own the domain and just send you there. What are some of your favorite tools, Chrissanne, that you would recommend if I just wanted to start my own website and DIY it? What if I'm not a WordPress, guru yet at this point, or whatever the case might be?
Gosh, I feel like I would be doing a disservice if I said just find a thing and do it right, do it just to do it, because WordPress can feel overwhelming to a lot of people. And it is a limiting belief, but it's also people everybody says WordPress. Let me go in and let me try and figure this out. My suggestion would be to find a company that is invested in your growth, which I believe Maximize is one of those kinds of companies. I'm not saying come buy from me. I'm just saying find a company that isn't all about selling you the whole package. Because essentially what I will do if someone walked in the door and said, hey, I'm not ready for a full-blown website, but I just want the basics and I want to be able to add to it myself. I want to be able to empower our clients to go in and do what they want to do, but with a well-developed foundation on the website. So a single page website should not cost very much. And then a training package that goes along with it that says, hey, once it's designed, will you teach me how to add a new page, to change out the banner, to add some additional content to it, so that's what you're looking for. You're not looking for someone to sell you a website, and then when you go in, it's so complicated that you don't know how to update it. You're looking for someone who can build you something that will grow with you and will partner with you as you grow.
And are there any trends right now that you are seeing when it comes to websites that we can be thinking about if we have one up and running already and we want to update it, or if we're new to the game?
Well, I think the biggest trend is your AI trend. You have a lot of tools that are coming and just emerging into the marketplace. And I'm not going to tell you to stay away from AI. I'm going to say lean into AI, but do it with an intentional understanding of what it is and what it isn't. And I think if you need to build something fast and cheap, then go an AI route. If you're wanting to do something where you're investing in yourself and your success for the future, look for people who can make things accessible for you, but not necessarily expensive, right? There's a difference. Like there's a partnership in that. But I do believe the ChatGPT has a really great place in helping you get out of that perfection analysis paralysis, because it's just a really quick way for you to say, hey, write me some content. And then you're able to get some information instead of being stuck in your head. So I would encourage people to find a balance between the fear of AI and using it for everything, because there's definitely, that's not going to be a winning way. But the trend I see is there's all of these unproven tools that I just don't know how they're going to play out in the future. So find something that's going to stick around for a while and make sure that you're invested in the long term, or you're going to be changing. You're going to be hopping from one new thing to the next, which is a waste of time as well.
Such good information, such great advice. And hopping from one thing to the next really resonates with me because, as I said early in this conversation, I like a good schedule, a good calendar. I don't want to waste time and I don't want to have to go look for this all the time. So thank you for sharing some of those things. You have so many great pieces of information, Chrissanne. I love learning about Maximize Digital and everything that you do within the website space and beyond. That sets you apart, of course, and the masterminds and your success stories behind that. As our listeners want to continue to learn more from you, get to know you better as a person, where can we find you? Where would you tell our listeners to find you? What platforms, your website, things like that? Can you guide us there?
Sure. I think if it's looking at conversations around web design and marketing, then maximizedigital.com would be the best place to go. However, if you want a discovery call, go to chrissannelong.com, spend some time with me. We can talk through whatever your goals are. Those are the two places. And from there, you can find me. I'm at Chrissanne Long everywhere. So if you're an Instagrammer, I'm at Chrissanne Long. If I'm Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, wherever, it's at Chrissanne Long. I'm fortunate that I have a unique name, so it's easy for me to get all these brand assets, very quick and easy.
I just found you, so I'm excited to follow you, and I will be continuing to look out for you and learn from you, which is awesome. So thank you so much. And with that, I want to bring it to Carlin. Carlin, you've had so many exciting things going on in your business and in your personal life. Can you share your rosebud and thorn with us?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. And that, I love the way we're phrasing this. This is so exciting for me. So the rosebud for me is, everything has been finalized within the last week, and I am now officially part of the advisory board for the entrepreneurship program at Arizona State University through both their School of Business and their graduate programs. I'm excited about that. The thorn in that is probably that I'll have to open up some more space in my schedule in order to give that the time and attention it deserves. But I will do that with joy because education is a huge part of what I love to do. So for me, that was the exciting part. I've got that signed, sealed, and delivered, and I'm ready to move forward in the fall semester with the students. How about I think about the bud and turn the rose, bud, thorn, back to you, Jess.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. That is so awesome. And a huge congrats because I know that you've been working on that for a while. And on this end, well, I would say the rose, the bud, and the thorn all come from the same story. So Alexa did not feel well this week, and I did not feel well this week. So I said to her, we can't drive to the beach because it's too far right now, but we can pretend like we're going to the beach and have a pretend beach day in our backyard. So we packed up a backpack with tons of books and arts and crafts and snacks and all these things. And we went outside on our towel, and she said, I want to do your hair. I said, no problem. And we play salon a lot together. And she actually did the most amazing hairstyle, and she took a picture of it, which her photography skills, I want to say, are also pretty impressive for a 5-year-old. And then I heard snip, and I turned my head and I said, Alexa, did you just cut mommy's hair? As she's holding my hair in her hand, and I see the hair in the scissors. And she goes, yes. And I know not to ask why, because a 5-year-old can't tell me why. So I said, can you tell me what you were thinking when you cut my hair? And she said, I was thinking your hair would look much better if it was 1 inch shorter. So my rose is that I have a new do. My bud is that we're working on this lesson of we don't use scissors to cut our hair or other people's hair. And the thorn is that, I might have a little bit of a lopsided angle on one side of my head. And there you have it.
That is such a great story and so many lessons in that story. Wow. Yes. Yes.
I didn't have the heart to give her a consequence on the spot. She doesn't feel well. I didn't feel well. So I just said to her, what do you think your consequence should be for this? And she said, I don't know. What do you think? And I said, I don't know either, but maybe for now, the consequence will be we'll put together the things that we've been playing with. We'll put those together. We'll put those to the side and we'll play with them another day. And, and that was it. So I'm sure there could have been a much bigger learning lesson in that moment, but I didn't have the heart. I didn't have the heart to make a consequence out of it.
Just always some good stories and always some good rose, buds, and thorns throughout. So thank you for sharing that with not only me. I will remember that for the rest of the day. And I too will be sharing that story, I'm sure, with others. And there's a TED Talk in there somewhere. You realize that you're going to probably take that to stage. I'm certain of that.
I will do my best. I have to turn it into some sort of story related to the media and press. So I'll let you know where I land.
That sounds great. Well, it's been wonderful talking today. It's been wonderful to listen to our guest, Chrissanne Long, and have her really share with us her story behind the scenes of Maximize Digital and what she offers to not only her circle of influence, but also her clients and the importance of relationship building. I've really enjoyed having this discussion. I encourage all of you to listen to it, to save it, and to take some great notes and follow Chrissanne Long wherever she shows up for you in her valuable knowledge and content.
Well, this is awesome. I appreciate being here.
It's been great to be together. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, you can head over to entreprenista.com/join. And I'm Jessica Abo.
I'm Carlin Bushman.
And we're here to help you
put your best heel forward.